So good evening once again. Appreciate everyone who has joined this section. My name is Eguero Prosper from Digital Z Hub. As we all know, Digital Z Hub is an online platform where we offer various training on different computer programs, ranging from web development, cybersecurity, data analytics, Python programming, AutoCAD, and other professional and basic programs. So like we all know, this is 100% free section, which will be running tonight and tomorrow night as well, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So while we are waiting for few or others to join, I would like us to introduce ourselves. Just kindly tell us your name and where you are joining this class from. Just that, so we can start the class.
All right, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm Chris Ovie. I'm joining from Ogwashiku Delta State.
All right, you are welcome, Chris Ovie.
Thank you, sir.
This is the next person. I think I have Ifeanyi Joel. You can just tell
Good
us your
evening.
name. Good evening.
Okay, my name is Victory. I'm joining from Asaba, Delta State here.
You are welcome, Mr. Victory, joining from Asaba, Delta State. I think we
Thank
have
you, sir.
other people here. Let's do it fast so that we can start the training. Mr. Ifeanyi, please can you tell us your name and where you are also joining from? Okay, so let me assume he cannot hear me. All right, so we'll ask them to introduce yourself later. So we all know, I would like to ask those of us that are here, one of the reasons why you want to learn Python programming language is I will just start from, let me just get response at least for one person so that we don't overuse the training time. Mr. Chris Ovie, please, can you tell us why you want to learn Python programming language?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. One of the reason why I want to learn is to enhance my knowledge about computer generally.
All right.
To an extent, I have a little bit of basic computer, and I'm having interest on going for cybersecurity. So I think this is a better foundation for me to be able to pursue that desire. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah, your points. Of course, one of the scripting language in cybersecurity is Python. But Python is the highest or the leading scripting language in cybersecurity. So you're on point. All right, so what we are going to do in this section is just to give us an introduction to Python programming language. We'll look at the definition of Python. We'll also look at some of the areas of application. We'll look at IDE, that is integrated development environments, where we can learn and practice Python. And then we will also, probably the time permit us, we will step into understanding variables and some of the manipulation that you can perform on a created variable. So in essence, everything we are going to learn today is foundation, like the introduction. We should be able to know how to set up our system for learning this language. That is what I'm going to prioritize in this section. So by the grace of God, make sure that you do not miss tomorrow's section, because tomorrow's section, I'm going to go a little bit more, let me call that intermediate. So that is not going to just be basic. So whatever we are learning in this section is like prerequisites, like preparing us for tomorrow's section. And peradventure, you subscribe for the upcoming master class. So all these foundation will assist you, or we facilitate your understanding and your journey in learning Python programming language. So I'm going to start with the definition of Python. That is where we have to start from. So I'm going to assume that every one of us in this section are coming across this programming language for the very first time. So with that assumption, then it is safe to say we are to start from knowing what is this programming language all about. Why are people hunting for this language as against other programming languages out there? So you get to know all that in this session. So quickly, let's look at the definition. So Python is a high level, easy to learn language. The keyword there is a high level, easy to learn language. A high level, easy to learn language. Right? So that is super popular for web development, data analysis, artificial intelligence, and more. So you can see that one of the the area where is most or more applied are those areas that I just mentioned. Web development, we use Python as one of the back-end language with the help of a framework that is programmed or developed called Django. And then in data analysis, it offers us so many libraries. Of course, the word library in this context means collection of functions. So when we say that in data analysis is offer us a library, we are saying that it gives us bucket of functions that we can use to reprocess our data for insights for better decision making. Then in AI, artificial intelligence, in fact, the whole of the artificial intelligence you are hearing, everything about it, if not 80 to 90% of it, is around Python programming language. So that is why the way to go, if you are going into tech today and you want to dominate the most popular or the popular domain, then you have to learn Python, because Python is connected to all the trending technological domains today. So like somebody mentioned earlier on, there is no way you can be good at cybersecurity without understanding Python as one of the prerequisites. Okay, that in web development, you can also see how it's being used as well, like I just explained, in data analysis, in data science, and then in the AI. So when we talk about developing games, Python has that same ability to do that. So almost everywhere today in tech, or the main domain in tech, they are directly or indirectly connected to Python. So learning Python, even though this very one you are learning is not actually focusing on any of this domain, because you have to understand the language itself before you can think of applying it in any of these those areas that I mentioned. So that is the level or the process at which you are supposed to go. All right. So let's quickly look at it from another perspective. So Python is a versatile programming language created in 1991 for us to understand how long this programming language has been around. So if you do your mathematics, you see that about 20-something years. But how come it's sounding as if Python just emanated or just emerged recently? A program that has been around for good 20 years is reigning as if it just came out. So all of a sudden, the world just discover it important due to the impacts it's making. So that is exactly the reason why it's as if it's reigning at the moment. Okay, so it's very versatile programming language created in 1991, like I've mentioned. And then why Python? So what I'm looking at is why Python? Some of the reason why you should learn Python. So that is what I'm trying to capture here before we look at the IDE for learning Python. So another reason why we should learn Python is that it has a very simple syntax. So when we say syntax, we are talking about the programming set of rules that governs or that guide our users on how to speak that language. So that is what we mean by what? Syntax. So the syntax is very simple, or in a layman definition, we can say syntax means the format in which the language should be spoken or the language should be written. So if you are writing a programming code, you need to know the language you are using to code, and then you need to also understand the syntax, the standard syntax for writing that language. So what I'm saying is just like you want to learn Igbo. You want to learn Igbo, or you want to learn Hausa, or you want to learn Isoko. So every language have its pattern on how it's to be spoken. So once you miss that pattern, then there is every tendency that you may find it difficult to cope. So that is what actually happens when you do not pay attention to the syntax of the language you are learning. So when we say that it has a very simple syntax, what we are saying is that the logic is very simple for a beginner to understand. There are some programming languages that for the first time you approach them, you discover that it's very difficult for you to cope. But for Python, it's very simple, because the mode of writing is equivalent to the way English is spoken. So that is one of the things that makes it very easy for beginners to learn. So we can go on and on highlighting the importance of Python, but I just want to paraphrase on these two. So which is what you need to hear at the moment. Number one, don't forget that it is very versatile, which means that it's widely used. It's applied in so many aspects of technology. So you learning this kind of language will actually help you in any domain of technology you find yourself. So having said that, let's quickly look at what is coding itself, or what is programming. Because since we are learning a programming language, we need to understand some of these basic terminologies. So as a programmer, it is not just writing code. There are certain information you need to have. There are certain terms you should understand, because if you find yourself among other programmers tomorrow, don't be surprised somebody could be instructing you with any of these terms. And when you claim that you are a programmer and you are not familiar with these terms, it makes you not conversant with the program. So part of the basics you need to know, you have to start from understanding what is programming. Every programmer starts from knowing what is programming. So let's break it down. The word coding, you see some adverts capturing programming as coding. You will see some other adverts using the word programming. So what is the difference between programming and coding? The truth is that they are both the same thing. All right? So, but one sounds more effective, one sound more real to the activities of a programmer. For example, if I say you are a coder now, you know, it looks somehow. But if I say you are a programmer, you know, you understand it better. So let's start with the word. What gave birth to both programming and coding is the word code. So which means that if we can understand the word code, then we can now know what is coding. So code as a set of instructions that are programmed or written on the computer in order to perform a specific task. Code are a set of instructions programmed or written on the computer to perform a specific task. So that is why if you have obtained basic computer training, they must have taught you that the computer as a device is a goal-oriented device. A goal-oriented what? Device, which means that computer is an object that works with a target. So you cannot, for example, now as a computer user, that is why some of us are not professional enough. You will see somebody that will turn on computer without knowing what he wants to do at that moment. You are not expected to even on your system without identifying your goals. What do you want to do at that moment? Because computer is a goal-oriented object. All right? So what we are saying is that this is one of the reasons why one of the benefits of learning programming is that, number one, you will always be a focused person outside making money from the app you are going to develop. You will end up becoming someone that is always very focused. Go and do your research. If you can find a reprogrammer, I'm not talking about somebody who is not in it fully, or somebody who does not know the reason why he or she is writing program. If you see a core programmer, you will see that they are always focused, just like mathematicians, because mathematicians have almost the same attribute with programmer. One, programmers are critical what? Thinkers. Programmers are critical thinkers. They think critically. So that is one of the benefits of learning any computer programming language. One of your characteristics is that you will end up becoming someone who thinks critically. Now, why? Because there is a particular skill that comes automatically as you are learning programming, which is called debugging. To debug, if you have once been around programmers, you hear them say debug, 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 debug. Debugging means that when you are writing a program and you give that program an assignment, like I say, goal, you give the program an assignment, a target, that this is what is expected as an output. And then by the time you are done writing the program and you execute it, the program will now return different thing from what you plan to get. So in that case, a programmer will hold on and begin to troubleshoot. A programmer will hold on and begin to find out why the program is not producing the expected outcome. So you see that process, that process of the person, remaining persistent until he or she gets it, is that art that will end up training you to be somebody that can think critically. That same art will increase your creativity. So you see, if a programmer wants to learn graphic design, it's going to be very simple for him or her. So there are certain things that when a programmer wants to learn, he or she will find them very simple compared to somebody who has never written any program. If I tell you the challenges, the person that developed OP app that you use easily, you just tap on it, it just open, you click on transfer, within a few seconds, you are able to transfer. Before that process worked for the person, if you can have an avenue of seeing him and ask him to share his experience with you, you will understand that he must have spent months just for that communication to be established. That is if he does not have experience. So what I'm saying here is that there are numerous advantages of you learning program, because there are a lot of us that we always think that the reason why I should learn program because you have to write code. No, it's a way of training yourself. And like I always advise my students, you see, almost everybody, people that are in the banking sector, people that are in the law sector, that is the judiciary or whatever, you see them today, they want to switch. Everybody want to switch into tech. But there's one thing that they fail to understand. Somebody need to guide you. So program like this, free session like this, one of the benefits of it, like that my brother said, is for you to understand what it is. There are a lot of persons that are making decisions, entering into tech without proper understanding. Before you see, they must have wasted like 1 million. And after that, they will not realize that, this is not the area I should have plug in. So programming is the backbone of the entire technology that you see today. Just identify anything that is fetching money in tech. I will tell you how it's connected to programming. But you see, mistakes some of us made is that when we want to learn certain aspects, they see programming as difficult and they just go straight to graphic design. They just go straight to what they fail to realize is that somebody who has learned programming before going into that aspect, the person will do better than you, because there are creativity, there are some ability that the person must have absorbed in the process of programming. So programming is one of the lucrative aspects of technology, in conclusion. So we are still looking at the benefits of being a programmer. So like I said, the word code means instruction. The collection of these instructions is what forms the application that you and I uses today. You use WhatsApp. That WhatsApp is one code plus another code that forms that app. You use Microsoft Word, the same thing. You use PowerPoint, the same thing. Any application is the collection of two or more instructions written by a programmer like you and I, sequentially. What does that mean? The way, just like relay race, a programmer will always write the code in a way that once one one aspect of the code will take care of certain function and hand it over to what? To the second aspect. And that one hand it over to the third one, to the fourth one, until the entire communication is what? Established. That is why if you subscribe for the full package, that is the one that will be announced probably tomorrow, you will now get to where we talk about conditional or control structure, where you see the logic, how all these apps are communicating. All right. So now that we have that knowledge, I believe now we have been able to know, or I have been able to explain to us the benefits of what? Becoming a programmer. Now, the process of writing those instructions is what is known as programming or coding. So when somebody highlights a topic, learn coding, that is just like a phrase. Then the next question you ask yourself, which program will I use? Which language will I speak? Because a programmer is somebody who writes code. Now, at this point, we are not concerned with the language is using. So long you write code, you are a programmer. Are you with me? So long you write code, you are a programmer. Whether you are using Python, you are a programmer. Whether you are using C#, you are a programmer. Whether you are using Java, you are a programmer. Whether you are using JavaScript, you are a programmer. Whether you are using PHP, think of any, in as much you write code, you are a programmer. That is what we are saying. So once you tell someone that you are a programmer, the next question the person is going to ask you is, which language do you use? Today we are learning with Python. We are learning with Python. So that qualifies you to be a what? A programmer. All right. Now, let me just bring in the next topic here. Once you have been able to identify the language you want to speak as a programmer, the language you want to use for programming, the next thing you go for is the platform you are going to use. You ask yourself, okay, if I'm going to speak Python, which platform will I use to write Python code? If I'm going to speak Java, which platform will I use? Because you cannot prophesy it. You cannot declare it. You have to write the code. So you need an application that provides you an environment for you to be able to write those instructions, which I call the programs, and execute them, which means to test whether they are working. So you have two key reasons or factors for choosing a development environment. You ask yourself, will the development environment enable me to what? To write the Python code or any of the programming code? Or will that same platform enable me to what? To execute the code? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't choose it, because there are so many platforms, and I'm going to teach us tonight with one of them. So that takes us to talking about IDE. IDE, which means what? Integrated Development Environment. Integrated Development Environment, IDE. Integrated Development Environment. Now, let's break it down. To integrate means what? To embed something in. So which means that what? That application should help you to what? To integrate your code. To integrate what? Or to write the program. Now, development environment. So the word development is creating, engineering the what? The program. So that is why you cannot call yourself a developer if you don't know how to write code from scratch. I believe you get that. So we need that app that will give us a development environment and interface that we can use to write Python code and also execute or run the code and see the results. So we have the professional IDE, and then we have the basic IDE. The professional IDE, we are talking about IDE with a lot of what? Libraries. A lot of the program keywords already built in that can assist you as a programmer to write just small code, and then you are able to what? To get assistance, like we are going to see when we start writing the code. So all you need, if you are using any of this professional IDE, is just for you to give the introduction to start it. The moment you highlight the keyword, just like the way Google works, you know, if you want to search for something on Google, because Google has all the keywords. Once you type a word that is not stored in Google library, you know, that's the kind of word that will not bring any drop down. Just type Nigeria. Before you type NI, you see Google words popping up what? Keywords that have to do with what? Nigeria. So that same way, it means that what? Somebody have taken time to what? To program all the countries in Google, such that once you start writing the first letter, the second letter, then calls out the remaining one, then you just click instead of you typing it in full. So when we say the professional IDE, the benefit of them is that if I want to write a command now, like what? Prints. Once I type what? PR, it will bring out the word, the entire word print. So if, for instance, that I don't have knowledge on the complete syntax, or maybe I don't even know the syntax. Remember, I have talked about syntax, the rule, the format. Let's assume that I am using one of the basic word IDE that does not provide you what? Libraries or functions. That means that you have to write the code from beginning to the end. There is no form of assistance. It means that if I don't understand the rule, the format, if I type just print, I may not get any clue to what, oh, this is how it should be. But if I'm leveraging on any of these advanced IDE, once I type the PR, you will see Python highlighting the entire syntax. So as soon as you click, then you'll be given the full word syntax. So that is one of the benefits of you consulting any of the advanced word IDE whenever you want to program. If you want to program with Java, there is a special IDE that Java work with most. So you go for it. If you want to program with JavaScript, there is also an IDE that is more compatible with it. So any language you want to speak, like I told us before, try and understand and find out the platform, the best platform to speak that language. So like for Python, I am going to recommend 2 of them. I am supposed to recommend 3, but the other one is for those that want to learn data analysis. So I don't want to distract us from the focus of the core language we are in for. All right, so you can see the IDE that I've opened on my screen. It's called PyCharm. Let me take us to my user interface. PyCharm. Now, the PyCharm is the best and most recommended IDE for writing Python code. So it's actually a dedicated Python IDE. It's more compatible with Python. But that doesn't mean that it does not have other programming languages extensions. So I can be in PyCharm and speak another language, provided the extension of that language is embedded in the PyCharm. So get to know all this. So as you proceed, you know what I mean by extension. All right. So once you have it, you will just double click on it and then it will open to this kind of environment. So I am going to, what I'm going to do is that because of time, the end of this class, I am supposed to send you a link. There's a class where I have recorded the steps on how to download it and install it. Because if I go through that process now, we might spend the whole time there. So what I will do is that for those of you that attend this particular section and the one of tomorrow, you can request. So you chat me up privately, request for the link to get a video or to get a video on how to install the PyCharm and how to set it up before writing your Python code with it. All right, so let me get a response from at least one person just to know if we are learning something from this class. Just one person so I can proceed.
Yes, sir. The class is going well, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'll leave that so that we can really do some practical today and tomorrow. All right, so so once you have gone through that video, it is something that you may not even wait for my own video. Just go to YouTube and search for how to install and set up what PyCharm. You will get different guideline there, and you'll be able to do it. So once you have installed it, so this is the first one I'm recommending. Then you can also use Visual Studio Code to write Python code. But Visual Studio Code does not come with Python extension. I think let me talk about the extension a little bit. For example, now, when you are saving Microsoft Word, the extension is what? DOC, that is document. That is the encoding format for reading any file created with that app. Excel have its own, I think SSL something. PowerPoint has its own. CorelDRAW have its own. Photoshop has its own. Every app has its extension. So when I say extension, I'm talking about if you install the app, if you don't have an extension called .py, which is Python, you will have to install it as an external plugin. So that is the only thing that makes this one different from if you are using Visual Studio Code. So maybe I will try and use Visual Studio Code tomorrow so that you can see how it works. So once you save a file with .py, if you are on the internet, it will automatically prompt you a message that, there is no Python extension. Do you want me to install and configure it? You just click on yes, and that will do it for you automatically. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes. Or you go to the extension aspect and search for Python, all Python extension. So if somebody can remind me tomorrow, I'll just show us how to do that. Because the reason why some of us may not go for this is that this one is very heavy. It takes time to load. If you install it on a system that the configuration is slow, don't be surprised you notice some slowness on your system. But Visual Studio Code is one of the most used IDE. It's compatible with a web development, programming language, Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, very suitable with most of the programming languages. It comes with almost all the extension, but if you don't have it, you have to install it. And installing that extension is very simple. But one of its advantages is very light. It's very light. If you are loading it, for example, now let's say I have not loaded this before this class. If I click on it, now it will take me so that depends on your system speed. It can take me 10 minutes. It's trying to load. Time that I will have used to open 20 times of Visual Studio Code. So that is the reason why I would advise you to install both. You can also go on YouTube and watch video on how to install a Visual Studio Code so that you can have both of them. All right. So now that we have that information, let us quickly look at how do I start writing my Python first code. Once I have opened it, how do I set up my coding environment? So there are a few things I'm going to show us here. So once you have installed it and you launch it for the very first time, this is kind of environment. You may not see all this because you must have not created some file like I have done here. So you go to the file icon here, go to this hamburger, and then it will open up this. But based on your system resolution setting, your own, it might be that as soon as you launch it, you might be seeing all this. But where you can't find it, you locate those three, the hamburger, those three lines that I click that opens up this. Now, once you can get here, you go to file. And then when you get to file, you select new project. So you set up a project and then create file in that project. Please, that is the sequence. You don't create file when you have not created a project. So I'll say new project. So once you click on new project, you wait for it. It's going to give you an interface like this. So what am I supposed to do here? You give your project a name. Make sure that the name should be descriptive enough that tomorrow you will not come here and start looking for it. So this is the default name based on the number of projects I've created recently. That is why it's named, it labeled this one project 5. So I can actually delete the whole of this. You can delete the whole of that and give it your own customized what? Product name. Project name. So I can say, okay, free training. Free_training. All right. Now, once you have typed it, then you get a URL that will tell you the what? The location, the path you can find this project once created is going to be located in what? Drive C, then user, and then Eguero. Then there is a folder when you get to Eguero user that will be labeled what? PyCharm project. So from there, when you open that folder, you will now see all the list of what? Project created. So let's assume that you are writing your code with this particular laptop and you have not ended the code or the program. Now you want to copy this file and go to another system. What you do is that you go to what? Let me just show us, get the URL now. You go to C, drive C, user, Eguero, PyCharm. Now let's go there. So this is what you're going to do. You open your file explorer, right? Then you go to this PC, and then you go to what? Local disk. That's the drive C. And then we go to users. Then from user, you go to Eguero, like we are informed there. From there, from Eguero, I think we see what? PyCharm. So let's look for PyCharm here. We should be able to see what? PyCharm here. So you can see it. So if I open this PyCharm now, you will not see the list of what project that I've created inside. So if I want to relocate this to a different system, I will just right click here and then what? Copy, or go in there and then right click on the particular project you want to lift. Please, I want somebody to unmute and say, I'm getting it. Let me know. One person. Just for me to know if you are following.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chris. Hope all is going well. You are getting it right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Now, once we are done, okay, now, once we are done creating this free training, now to be added. Now you know what to do here. Now you know that here, if you want to change, let's say you connect your flash drive or you have another storage that you want to redirect it to instead of the default folder in your user account. You click on this icon, then you specify where you want to direct it to. But I want to accept that it should be saved in what? The default folder. Now, once we are done with that, what should I do here? Now we have create GitHub repository. Now, for those of us that do not know what is GitHub, GitHub is like a repository where people dump all manner of things. It's a collaborative platform. So if you have a GitHub account now, for example, if you are going to look for a remote job, you must build your portfolio in GitHub if you're a programmer, so that you can, all the code you are writing, you can export them to GitHub. All right. Sorry about that interruption. All right. So let's go through it again. Now let's go through the process. Remember, I went to what? This. Then click on File, then New Project. So like I said, I want my project name to be free training, free underscore, learn to be putting underscore. As we proceed later on, you get to know why I am training myself to be putting underscore in between two words. Now the location we are accepting is, so we're talking about GitHub. So if you want this particular library to automatically synchronize some of the contents from GitHub, you add it, or you want to create a welcoming scripts. Now, once you set up this and you create a file, there is a default script that Python has already pre-built that you can learn one or two things from. So if you want it, you activate it. So this one is optional. Then here, interpreter, I'm going to use project what? Venn, that is what? Venn V. Now, Python is what? Self-interpreting what? Programming language. That is one of the advantage, because I did not take time to explain it from the beginning. That we call what? Dynamically typed programming language, which means that a programming language that can detect the type of data you are using for each program. You get to understand that later. So these ones, I don't want to waste my time here. This is for Anaconda, for those that want to use it for data analysis. So you can set up this. So instead of you installing your Anaconda or your Jupyter notebook, you can, through this, have that kind of environment. All right. Then, of course, you can customize your own environment if you don't want to take any of these presets. So Python version, so this is the version that we have installed, and it calls it out from its directory. So once you have done all this, then the next thing I'm going to do is to click on what? Create. So once you create it, then just watch what is going to happen. So creating a virtual environment. So you hold on. So what is going on now is setting up the interface for you. So if you are using this IDE, you must go through this process. So it's updating. Good. Now, remember I told us then that I told us about the default scripts. So these are admit we did not turn on that option. We wouldn't have seen all this. So these are default what? Scripts. So, but you can come here and highlight and delete all of them. You can clear them up if you don't want to use it. All right. Now, it created a file for you automatically, and the file name is what? Main. But you may want to create your own file under this project. You can see that what? There's a folder now, and it added this file. This is a different project. You can see that all those first one that we were seeing before, they are no longer here because this is a different project. Under this project, you can create different file. Maybe you want to build app for a client, but that is different from the initial client. You can create a different folder or maybe a different file. So now the next thing we want to learn now is how to create file inside this if I don't want to go with this. So to create file, all you need to do is to ensure that what you are in that particular project, and then you go to the file again. This time around, you select what? New. So if I click on this, it will ask me for the file that I want to create. Now, I talk about extension. Remember, I was talking about, despite that is the most recommended platform for writing Python code. There are other programming languages you can write inside it, provided you set it up with those programming languages extension. Now you can see I have HTML here. So which of them do you want to set up? It's Python. So I'll select it's Python file. They do not ask me for the file name. The first one did that for you automatically. So this is when you want to write another one and you don't want to use this initial interface. You have to go through this step. So let's say this one is, let's say first class, first_class. And then once I've written the name, then I'll press enter. You see that what? It has created the file. And it's telling me that there's a message here. Do you want to add the following file to Git? That Git, you can say add, or you can say what? Do not ask me again. So if you want to add it, you can add it. Now you can see that I can toggle from one file to another. So I can be writing one program here and writing the other program here. Just a second. All right, so now we have successfully set up our file. Now, the next topic I want to teach us tonight is comments in programming. What do we mean by comments? So I'm taking us sequentially as a beginner, what you should learn first, followed by what? That is the order I am following. Whether you are learning other programming language, always follow this sequence. Now we have set up our development environment. We are ready to write Python code. We are ready to speak Python if we understand it. But we have to understand what is comment. Comments in programming, they are just ordinary narration statement. What do I mean? They are non-executable what? Scripts. The program will not bother itself running your comments. Comments are only used to explain your code, either to yourself or to the third party. Where you are working remotely, definitely they are going to operate division of labor. So they will assign different roles to individuals. And then everybody will submit theirs to what? To the chief what? Maybe person in charge to put everything together. So if you are writing code and you know that that code will be given to someone else, you are expected to use comment to explain what you are doing in each section, so that when the code gets to the other person, the person knows exactly what the codes were written for. And then even yourself, you can get to a point whereby you write a program today and you come tomorrow, you are unable to understand the code again. It happens. It happens. If you are developing game, like if you subscribe for the full program, you are going to learn how to build different games, how to build different solutions that can solve problems for organization. That is going to be complex code. It's not just going to be just one line of code. So there are times that maybe with some research, you have written a bunch of code. And if you do not use comment, sometimes at a particular point, you know that you forget what that function is doing. You use comment to explain it, so that next time you visit that code, you know, oh, this is what I researched about this. So comments is very, very essential. Every programmer should start from what? Learning how to write comment with that language. Now, in Python, irrespective of the platform you are using, this is the symbol that denotes comment, this hash. I hope you can see the screen very well. The hash. So once you activate that hash, anything that comes after it, Python will assume that it's none of its business. It's your business. So that is just you explaining things to yourself. Just that hash, the expression, the message it passes to Python is that do not execute this line of code. It's a comment. So for example, now I'm using comment to explain what are we learning now? Introduction to Python programming language. Introduction to Python programming language. So this is where you are to run your code. How do you execute your code? We have a terminal that in this case, but like I said, if you enroll for the advanced class, we will teach you what we call what? Python what? GUI. That is what? How you can create user interface. In other words, all this code you are writing here now, this is your development backend. The users of app, the OP you are using, the money point you are using, there are a bunch of code that you do not see. But the programmer gave you an interface that is user-friendly so that you will not confuse. But there are code at the background. So if, for example, now we get to that aspect, I'm going to show us that whatever code we are writing here, if we want to see how the user will see it, we will not connect it to what? To the user interface that I've developed. So the result, the output will be displayed over there while the code will be running here. But because we are still learning the language, I cannot expose us to that. So we are going to be leveraging on the Python terminal. So the terminal is going to be our what? Our output here. And what is the terminal? If you look at this icon, you see it is called what? Python console. So if I click on it, it opens what? This section. So this is where you can be using for now until you learn Python to building GUI. You can be testing your code within this what? Environment. So you can close it by clicking on it. You can expand it. So now, this is where you run the code. Let's say I want to confirm whether this is actually a comment or a live code. If I click on this now, it has executed. What did we get? Process finish with exit code was 0. No output, nothing different. But if I do something like this now, and I say what? S is equals to what? Let's say 50. And I come down and I say print that 50 in the terminal. So you see what I'm talking about the other time? The benefit of using an advanced ID. You can say that I just type print, then it has brought out what? Keywords. So from here, I can see the syntax. So I can just click on this just to continue. Without me what? Manually opening the bracket and manually closing it. But if I'm not using advanced IDE, I will have to open those brackets myself. So I'll say print S. So what we are telling Python is that there is a value stored in S as a variable, which we'll talk about probably, if not today, tomorrow. So make sure that you do not miss tomorrow's session. And please, I am begging us to reach out to individuals you know. To be honest with you, people are missing, sometimes when we advertise free training, they think that is the conventional free, where somebody will just come and advertise their program and say, let's call it a day. No. If we don't want to give it, we will never do it. And there's a season for free training. There is a time for those of us that have been in that WhatsApp group. You see that for a very long time, there was no free training. So everything have time. So after some time, because we do this free training when we want to get people to register into our main program. Once I am occupied with the main program, I will not do free training because there won't be any essence. Because if I do a free training and somebody say want to register, there's no slots. But because we have some slots that are open, that is why we decided, because we have open Python programming slots, which I'm going to update us tomorrow for 2 different categories. The one for teenagers between the age of 18 and 20, they are going to pay just 1,000 and they will be able to learn how to build games. So if you have any younger person out there, and apart from that, they are going to learn computer introduction. They are going to start from, associating them with the computer usage first before what? So it's like an empowerment that we want to offer, and it's going to be once in a year. So tomorrow I'm going to show us the adverts. And for those of us that have seen it, if you have a younger one, they should take advantage of it. And for those of us that we join, that training is not for those teenagers only, no. It's both for adult. Adult can join, but the training for the people that we are giving that discount to is just teenagers. If you are above 22, we will tell you the amount you pay. But if you join tomorrow's session, it's going to be a kind of huge discount to you. So if I print this now, I want you to watch here now, because this is a live code. This is live code. This is not comment. Python will never read these 2 lines of code as comment. So if I run it now, watch what happened. It printed out what? Let me run it again. It printed out, what did I have there? I say print S. So let's see. So we are supposed to get what? 50. So I'm trying to check. Hope nothing is covering it. Sorry. You can see the file that is executing is what? Is main. And meanwhile, the file that we are, let me check. Let me run it. Let me just check. I think something is wrong. So we're supposed to have gotten an output. Okay, let me. To expand. Let me troubleshoot here. Let me just say S equals to. So print X. So perfect. So something is wrong. Maybe the interpreter is yet to properly what? Synchronize here. So you can see that it outputted what? The value in S. But the moment I put this hash here, remember we are still on comment. If I run this now, what happened? It throws what? Error. So which means that what? At this moment, Python is no longer seeing this. That is only valid for you. So that is how to work with comment. So I believe with that, my explanation is clear. So if there's any question you ask, let me give us a few minutes for question. If there's no question, I will just introduce us to the last topic for tonight. Last topic, so I don't want to give us too much. Make sure that you do not miss tomorrow's section. Tomorrow is Sunday. I believe we should be all available. So if you have question, you ask. If you don't have question, and then I'll take the last topic for tonight. Any question from anybody, please?
Sir. All right, my question is as regards to this where we display our
results.
Program. Yeah, results, yes. Then we have this console. You mention of a GUI.
Yes.
On what level do we have to create this GUI to start using it to display our results?
Advanced level, sir. You should have known the level.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Advanced level. That is one of the last aspects. You must be groomed very well. Though it's very simple. Okay. It's very simple. It's not about the GUI. It's about you being able to develop what the GUI will display. That is why it's not advanced level, because it's difficult. In fact, you are going to use library to connect, but what matters is that what are you going to publish with that interface? So it will take you understanding the basic, the intermediate, and advanced to develop a working program that you are going to display its functions with the GUI. I hope that is clear, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So now let's quickly, so I'm going to use comment to also, now you understand the concept around comment. So the last topic is Python variable. Now, I want to quickly chip in this. You see, for those of us that are learning programming language for the very first time,
The only place where you find it difficult is the first one you are learning. I'm speaking from experience. Because from experience, most of the things I'm going to teach us today and tomorrow, if you can try it and chat me up that, sir, I discovered that it's not true. Most of the things you are going to learn today and tomorrow, just pick any other language, let's say Java, you want to learn it. You keep hearing them, but in a different syntax. That is why I spoke about what? Paying attention to the syntax of the language you are using to code. Variable is the same across all languages. If you go to Java now, we have variable. If you go to C#, we have variable. There is no programming language on earth that does not use variable concepts. So I said that so that you pay attention, so you know that what we are learning now is not just Python, that the variable is applied across all the language. So let's look at the word variable. In programming generally now, when a programmer uses the word variable, let's look at the word variable, a value that varies. Let's understand it from that aspect. A value that varies. For example, now, what I created the other time when I say S is equals to 80 is a variable. I can come tomorrow and say, I don't want 80 again, I want 88. It varies. That's what is a variable. But that is the logical aspect of it. Let's look at it from a layman understanding. Let's look at it from the functional aspect. What is the role? What role does he play as a programmer? As a programmer, if we are looking at it from the functional perspective, variable is a storage, is a container that holds value within a program memory called library or cache. So that is the core definition of what? Variable. So now let me link into the reason why it's defined as a storage or a container. Sir, I want to develop a program that will print. I want to develop a program, for example, that will ask a user, what is your name? And then the person will type his or her name and collect that name and store it in my program so that even when the person has submitted, I have the person's name in my database. So I'm going to do something like this now so that you understand the concept of the variable. Tomorrow we'll still talk about it. So I can come here and say, okay, print. I can say print. I can say print what? I'll wrap it. Tomorrow you understand why I am putting it. Because it's a text. What is your name? What is your name? I'll put question. So if I print this now, you see, you are asked here, what is your name? So now, this, when you write it like this, you have not given the person's room to supply the name. So you just display a kind of information asking the person what is the person's name, but you have not provided a container that will be used to collect the name. Peradventure, the person wants to give you the name and store it so that tomorrow you can use that name for other programs. So in that case, this is what I'm going to do. So look at the logic now. Look at the logic I'm going to use here. So I'll simply print this. I'll create a variable now because I want to collect the person's name and I want to store it. So I will say, okay, let's say first name. First, remember I'm using two. If I'm using two words, I have to put underscore.
first name, I will say what? Equals to. First name equals to. All right. So now what I have created now, first name is a variable, which means that I don't want the person name to just be collected without me having it. So that is why when you get to application development, you will now create an SQL database. So anytime they fill information, those details will be storing in that database. Then you can now use those data for further programming. So now I will now say what? Print. You see the logic now. Over the print. Then inside the print, I will now use a Python function called what? Input. So this is just like you nesting. The input means a container you are using to what? A placeholder. Let me use that word. To receive the person's what? Detail. And storing the detail in what? First name. Then I will now put this particular information there. What is your name? So if I run this code now, look at what happened. Then I can come here now and type my name. Let's say my name is Prosper. And then press enter here. You see that what? It printed Prosper, which means that right now Prosper is already here. So which means that I can come here now and say, okay, print, just to be sure that Prosper as a name has been collected and stored in a variable called first name. Let's print that variable the way it is typed. So let me just copy it, Control C, and then put it here. So if I print now, you see that what? Now, it's asking, but remember that because of the input, that is why it will keep asking you. But you should know that the name is already stored in what? First name. Because when you type it like this, so I can say, okay, I want to collect a Elohona and press enter. So you can see that what? It has automatically replaced. Though this one is because of the, let's remove this first. So you know why you are getting that, not because of that first one that. So let's say Eloho. Perfect. So remember, we are still talking about variable. So I can create variable that can store, this particular variable is holding string. String in programming means text-based data type. My name is a string. Computer is a string. Once is in form of text, is a string. So just to also let you know that variable can be used to store numbers, not just what? String. So tomorrow I'm going to start with data type so that you understand where I am bringing this string, where I am bringing number from, and some of the principles that are connected to their usage. You get to know that tomorrow. But today I just want us to understand variable. So I can create a variable and say, okay, num, and then equals to, I want to store 90. Now, because I am storing a number in the variable, that is why it's not quoted. So I can create another one, say, okay, num2, and then equals to 80. So which means that so far so good, we have created 3 containers, and each of these containers are currently holding information. This one, we have already passed in the value, but this one, we are assuming that we don't know what the person's name will be. So that is what happens when you visit the website and you are presented with form. So the programmer, the developer knew that he might not know the person that will be filling the form. So what will happen is that the programmer will use a back-end language, either Python or PHP, to create what? Empty variable like this, waiting for the information to be stored in due to what the user will supply. So just a quick one before we open the line for question and sharing ideas. And that will also bring us to the end of this section. I also want to show us that where you have numbers like this, Python can be used for calculation. In fact, you can learn how to build customized scientific calculator with Python. Now, let's assume that I want to multiply the value of norm and norm2. That is, I'm asked to multiply 80 by 90. So I can just create a variable that will do the calculation and get me the answer, and then print that variable holding the answer. Or I just supply the value, the variable name, and perform the calculation straight away. So I can say, okay, final underscore results can be equals to take what you have in norm, multiply it by what you have in norm 1. Sorry, norm 2. Now, you will now say print final result. So which means that this is a calculator that we multiply this value by this value and store the result here. But if I run it now, it will not output anything. So I can comment this one at first. So you see the essence of comment now, because I notice it keep prompting this. So I want to turn it off for now. So I will just press this and just cancel it here so that you can run it afresh. Sorry, I think I... All right. So now the calculation has been done and the answer is right in here. So if I want to print the answer to the user, so I'll simply say print and then call that final. You see, the moment you type the first 2 letters, that variable has become a keyword in the program, so it will shortlist it. So you just double click. And then you can now run it, and then you get the answer here. So we get to know more of this tomorrow. So I want to stop here today. Like I said, it's just introduction. So, but for those of us that want to practice alongside with me, try and watch our videos on how to install the PyCharm and be able to practice alongside with me tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to do a lot of manipulation. So the line is open for questions. If you have questions. So before the question, so this is DigitalZ Hub for those that are just joining. This is 100% online training platform. We have the capacity to offer you certificates after your training, both local and international certification. We train on most of the program we train on cybersecurity, data analytics, Python programming, web development, digital marketing, AutoCAD, C50, and the rest of them. And we also have a service arm. You need graphic design work, you can contact us. We have professionals that can give you astonished design, being it Hambi, being it whatever design or brochure, whatever it is. And they will also build websites, being it e-commerce websites, logistic websites. Just think of any type of website, so long as a legit website, we build it on this platform. All right, so question, please. You have question, please go ahead with your questions. Or you want to make an inquiry on any of our program, please, you are free to do so right away. All right, so if there's no question, I would like us, those of us that have been following, to share your experience, how this particular section has impacted you, and tell us if you are going to join tomorrow's section. So let me start with Mr. Chris Ovie.
Okay, I think it's like okay, so anybody can actually open the line and say something. Mr. Ifan Joel, I was asking the other time, are you still here? So I have DM, whatever, I don't know. Please, if you can just unmute and tell us your name and where you are joining from. DMO VIH3H LTZ3.